Hi, how you doing? Just a weekly update. Just at a bit of a loss really as to where to pitch this weekly update. I did intend to do a midweek one, which is going to focus on the positives from the week, the last week, as well as the sort of more negative parts that I had to point out there last Sunday. There was the likes of the Loretta Convent and Letterkenny that we visited. Paddy had the videos out on that, as had the Mike Action Group page as well. And, really, really inspiring to see the transition year students, their awareness of what was going on, their sense of right and wrong, their willingness to stand up and fight for what they believe to be right. The stories of what they're suffering themselves as students living in Micah homes and how their education is coming second best to the condition of their home, which is terrible. And then the staff as well, equally horrific stories there too, although they weren't talking about them on the day. Got certainly a good feel for that as well. And the whole thing was very much supported by their principal too. So it was good and really good to see that firsthand. We also had a visit to an estate in Donegal where we've got ICF, insulated concrete forms. That's the building method being used. Really good to see them at different stages of the build, including ones that were almost finished as well. And very exciting. That's the nice end of the business, really, on this end to see what the future can look like. We then had MMC Solutions, another company, on last Wednesday, where we talked to them. They're setting up a factory in Monaghan. Should be running by the end of April, and they're going to be putting together these cold rolled steel structure homes and panels. So they're basically insulated panels, and then they arrive on site, windows and all included, doors, the works, and they basically fit all together. And you can have a substantial house built in a couple of days here, and it doesn't look like a modular type home or anything along them lines. It looks no different to any ordinary home you'll see throughout the country. So there's lots of stuff there that is, in the future for us here. A lot of them been shown through the self-build Thursday sessions that we're doing over the month of February that we've organised with the help of self-build, to let people see what the various options are. Lots of things to be positive about in terms of what the future looks like, because these homes are 10 times the homes of what even bar, mica and pyrite. They're 10 times the homes of what we were building ourselves 20 years ago, and it's good to be able to look forward to that. So all the things that are within our control are positive and are coming along together nicely. Unfortunately, the stuff that's not within our control and that we're dependent on others to do for us, time and time again we're being let down, and it's just been dogged by letdown after letdown here. Over the last couple of weeks, the whole timeline thing where Leo Varadkar thinks it's okay to talk about Blase, and he'd be just a bit disappointed if it wasn't in place by the end of December, and homeowners here hanging on every word to see when this thing gets going. It's just not good enough, and just a complete lack of understanding, a complete lack of respect, to be honest, for the homeowners here that's affected in Donegal, Mayo, and the other affected counties. So, at what point do they waking up and say we need to do something different here? This is urgent. This is a humanitarian crisis, and we need to get our finger out and get on with it, because that's not what we're witnessing. Just simply not what we're witnessing. And then we had insult to injury then, and we had to write to the minister. On the back of it was the SCSI website showing clearly the entire position from the housing department and the housing department only. It, again, how much confidence can that fill us that we're getting an independent deal? And the reason that they were brought on in the first place is that the minister recognised himself. The housing department would not be providing a completely unbiased position because they've got skin in the game in there, right? And the reason to bring in SCSI was to form that independence, yet they've been working with SCSI for 2 months now, and only on Friday did an invitation come through there for us now as homeowners to submit what we need to think is worthy of consideration as well. We already did that back in the 10th of December, and but we will welcome this. We will work with them. We'll get our own panel together, and we hopefully meet with them now early this week, and let's talk it out. It has to be a meeting as opposed to just a submission, because there isn't the time to have questions forward and back by emails. Let's get a meeting and let's get it discussed and across the table, and talk about it maturely and reasonably. And I think that's what we've been open to do all along. So we do welcome that opportunity from SCSI. We do think it's late in the day, in keeping in mind that there's meant to be a final proposal out for the 28th of February. So they've got 2 weeks to make that happen. We've always been ready. It's just now we've been called to the table. So we'll take it. We'll take the opportunity and we'll make the most of that. We've got a response then from the Minister as well to our letter, but we'll be responding to that formally tomorrow again. Touched on stuff, other stuff not touched on, and it's just doesn't feel like an inclusive process. It simply doesn't. And the difficulty here is that we have a lot of people now that are losing faith in the process here, which is such a shame after all the time and effort that went into it. But that has not been our doing. That has been the poor level of what should have been positive intent by the other parties here. And I will say that's the Housing Department. At times I almost feel sorry for the Minister that's working with what he has to work with. But at the end of the day, it's his show. He is the top of that tree, and he has to find a way of overcoming this wall of resistance that is felt, I think, by everybody, and times probably himself, when it comes to doing the right things, with a culture that seems to be endemic in there. And it's just not going to do us any favours. So we have to really, really seriously consider where we are with the entire process. And that's just been brutally honest about it. Not what a lot of people want to hear, not what I want to be saying, but we have to take a really hard look at where we are overall. Every week is now critical. We've SCSI in 2 weeks' time. We've got the scheme details that we see nothing of as to what's being put forward to be enshrined in legislation. We don't see what that looks like. We've been told a stakeholder group would be set up. It's still yet to happen. We have got the fees, the return of the fees by Donegal County Council, which should be happening anytime from here on towards the end of the month. It should be happening now, and the emergency works the same thing. Where is all that at? There's a MICA steering group committee, Donegal County Council, chaired by Martin. I think it's on the 16th. There'll be some awkward questions there. It's really answers we need at that meeting, and not the questions. But the bottom line is there's a question of faith in the process here at the minute, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It's at an all-time low, and I think our next steps, inside or outside the process, is going to be dictated very, very shortly in the next couple of weeks. And do the waking up and smell the coffee and see that they're not at the races the way they need to be, and they're not treating us with the level of respect and inclusion that they should be? Or do they continue to go down the path they're going down? And if they do, then we have to respond with something in our campaign that makes them wake up. And that's really where it's at. Okay.